everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Tomcat Stitchery. I'm Whitney, and today we're going through the fourth and the final pattern. There is a fifth pattern, the Stanway t-shirt. Rhyme t-shirt. We're just not doing that. I just decided to do with 4 of the patterns, but we are going through the last one from the Ahead of the Curve book by Cashmerette. This one that we're tackling today are the Magna pants. So these are a pant pattern that sits at your natural waist. It has a flat front and then the elasticized back. It does not include pockets, and it has kind of a tapered leg. It's a really beautiful pant pattern, and I've actually made it in the way it was drafted as well. You'll be seeing that in a video for an end of summer type video. But I thought it would be fun to also hack it into a wide leg pant and to give myself pockets. I actually gave pockets to my original pair as well. So it's just something that I prefer. So I'm gonna be showing you both how to add a pocket on a pair of pants where they are not included, and also how to widen a pant leg if you wanted a tapered leg to be wider. So if it's a pair of pants you enjoy the fit everywhere else, you can have some options. You could also hack them into shorts if you wanted. Be very easy to do. Anyway, as always, if you have any questions, leave them down below. Be sure to answer those as soon as possible. Oh, the fabric. The fabric that I used for this is a Tinsel Twill from Minerva. It's this beautiful, hopefully you can see in the pictures, a tone-on-tone check. And this, it's called Lapis is the color, and I'll have that link down below. You can still get that. It's a beautiful weight and perfect for bottoms. For that Tinsel Twill, it has a beautiful drape. Also, I made the size 12. So I am typically, my hips actually are an 8 in Cashmerette patterns, but because of the loose nature of these pants, I went ahead and just made the 12. And my waist is a 12 in Cashmerette patterns, but the 12 is the smallest size that is made, that they do have in this book. But again, this works for any pant pattern, so that has similar features. I shortened the leg, and I talk about that a little bit more. I think 1 inch. With the thought that I might have to shorten it another inch. I think I'll talk you through it here in a second. But I do have short legs. I like to leave my hems long anyway, so that I can hem it up to the appropriate amount that I want. So that's just kind of personal preference. I just don't want my hems to be too short. All right, guys, that's all I've got for today. As always, if you'd like to help support the channel and these educational type videos, I do have a Ko-fi account. It is linked down below. That's like a virtual tip jar, and all the money from that goes right back into the channel to help pay for equipment, maintenance, supplies, all that kind of stuff, mostly for these educational type videos. All right, guys, that's all I have for today. I hope you have a wonderful Sunday, and I will see you on Tuesday. Bye. Okay, today we're going to do 2 parts to these pants. I was just going to show you how to length or widen the leg, but these pants do not come with a pocket, and I want a pocket. So I'm going to show you how to do that. It's so easy. Okay, so with this pattern, these are the Magna pants. You've got a front waistband and a back waistband. The back waistband gets elastic put in it, and the front waistband is just flat with some interfacing. We're not doing anything with those. Those can go right over here. And then you've got a front and a back. And then you also have the elastic guide, the back elastic guide. So we're not doing anything with that either. So for the pocket, we are just messing with the front. So I'm going to set my back piece over here, and we are just going to mess with the front. And this is really so easy and very intuitive. I'm actually going to flip this around so I can have this on the side of me. Okay. So what I want like a jean style pocket where it just kind of curves, around a little bit. So the first thing you're going to need, you're going to want a curved ruler of some sort, and of course a straight ruler and a pencil, which I have set somewhere. Oh, it's out waiting for me, of course. All right. So the first thing, obviously we're going to be putting the pocket here on the side seam of the front. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to measure my hand. So there's a 1/2 inch seam allowance over here. So I'm just going to mark that in real quick just so I have a reference point. So if I'm putting my hand in my pocket, I want my hand to fit. So I'm just going to go widest part of my hand, which is right about there, which is like 3.5 inches, but I'm going to go over 4 to give myself extra room because that's what I want. So I'm going to go over from the seam line 4 inches. So I'm going from the side 4.5 because, again, there is a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So we can erase these lines now. We don't need to know that seam allowance now. And then now it's just kind of preference. So I'm just going to go down to, we'll go down 2.5 inches because half of that or the 1/2 inch will be part of the seam allowance. And I'm just going to go, there's no rhyme or reason to this. I'm literally just drawing an opening that I think looks good. So I'm just going to make a line, a light line that's going to go past my point here because and then I'm making a box. And the dog is having a moment here. So I've gone 4.5 inches over from this side, 2.5 inches down, and I have a box. What is the matter, Gidget? My goodness. And now I'm just going to use my curve here and put in a curve to that opening. I'm just going to find a curve that I like. Which I think maybe like that. No, I want it tighter than that. So see, this is really just a game of, alternatively, you could use like a spool of thread or something if you wanted a really tight one. Okay, so now I'm just going to kind of freehand this opening. Now I'm going to erase all of my excess lines so that I don't get confused because I'm also going to I'll mark this in with a darker pen so you can easily see. But since I needed to erase. Okay. So now I've just drafted my opening. So that's what I want it to look like finished. Okay. So I'll cut this away at the pants. But first, before I do that, I need to add back in a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Because remember, the pocket piece is going to get sewn to the front. You're going to have 2 separate pieces here. But the one piece will get sewn to the front pocket piece and get turned on the inside of the pocket. And let's see, different colored pen. So now I'm just going to add that seam allowance back in. Oops. My dog is squeaking a door. Okay. So this darker, like burgundy line is going to be where I cut away the pants. All right. Now we're going to add in our pocket piece. So, and then we're just tracing. It's very easy. So I like my pockets to be fairly deep. So I'm actually going to take it right here to this hip line. Again, I'm going to do this in pencil first, just so I can make sure I've got a line that I like, and then I'll color it back in so you can see. So I'm going to make my pockets go all the way to the front seam, and get tucked in there because I just like that. It kind of tucks everything in. All right, so right here at the notch, and then I can add this in. Just going to go straight across, I don't know, for like 4.5, 5 inches. We'll go 5. And now I want to like curve it up. And then going to add a straight line for a couple of inches, and then I'm just kind of connecting that together. So this kind of curved line here just keeps you from having like a see-through, like a hard pocketing line. And again, I'm taking it all the way to the front seam because I want that sewn into the front seam. Okay, let me mark this in, and we'll do it in the burgundy. Alrighty. Okay, so now all we have to do is take our tracing paper. Oh, I want to extend my grain line up too. I want my pockets to be on the same grain line as my pants. We'll just do do that. Okay. And now it's just a matter of tracing off our pieces. All right, so the first piece that we're going to trace off will be the, I guess, would you call it the pocket? The pocket, and then the inside to be the pocket facing? I don't know, however you want to, I always get confused which is which. But this is going to be the piece that's going to be the back part of the pant. So this one we're going to want to do in our, draw the grain line, in our fashion fabric. So this pattern piece needs to be done in our fashion fabric. I'm not worrying about adding seam allowances to the bottom of this pocket because it's fine. So now I'm just going to be following my lines that are through here. I've put my grain line in already. And I'm tracing all the way around to the outside. And then when you've got thick paper like I do, you can just press your pencil up against that edge. Now, I'm on this pattern piece, I'm going all the way, this whole back part of the pocket. And if you had any notches or anything like that, you would need to mark them. I'm not going to worry about that. I do have a hip notch here, but that's where my pocket ends, so I'm not going to worry about that. So this is our pocket piece. So I'm going to write pocket, cut to of the main fabric, because this will be seen back behind the back part of the pocket. Now for the inside pocket piece, so this is the part, the pocket piece that's going to get sewn right sides together with the front of the pant here at the pocket edge, tuck to the inside, and then you'll sew the back pocket piece to it. Also need to throw in my grain lines real quick. All right, so just like with the other one, I'm going to follow this line here because we want these to match wow, I'm getting very crazy here. And we're going to follow this up, over, and then when I get to this point, I'm going to be tracing the top line that we made. So the pocket line with the seam allowance. So that's the only difference between this piece and the other pocket piece, is that this cut out, because this will get sewn to the pants, and we're going to cut this away on the pants here in just a second. So we'll call this the pocket facing, and we're going to cut 2 out of our lining. Okay, so that can be a different fabric. I mean, I guess your other fabric could be a different fabric too if you wanted a different fabric peeking out, but it will be seen from the right side. And then the final thing we're going to do is just cut our little pocket away here at the front. And I'm cutting on that top line because we do want that seam allowance included. Just like that. So now that's our new front piece. And when you're sewing your pocket piece, when you're sewing these right sides together right here at this 1/2 inch seam line, don't forget just to cut and notch into this curve here so that when you turn it to the right or to the back side of the pants, it'll lie nice and flat. Okay, so that's how we do our pocket. And then obviously those get cut out. Now I'm going to show you how to, next I'm going to show you how to widen the leg. All right, so now we are going to take the Magnas that are tapered leg pant and make them a wide leg pant. I guess I'm all in frame here. Okay, so, but I am going to scoot this up because I'm going to be making this long. So one thing to keep in mind, the first thing we want to do actually is draw in our grain line just to the end of these pants that we already have. We want to keep our grain straight. Just keep the pants balanced. All right. The next thing. Okay, so we're going to be making these wide leg. Now, what is important is that we are adding the same amount on each side to keep the grain and the pant hanging straight. You know, you can't just add all to one side or your pants will be off balance and you'll get twisting and they'll swing out weird and it'll just be weird. But another thing to keep in mind with these is that, and this is a preference. I mean, you could leave these the length they are now, but just know they'll be ankle pants because these pants with the hem finish right at the ankle. So right above where your foot breaks. So where your ankle breaks into your foot, these pants finish right there at that point. And for my wide leg pants, I want mine to go all the way to the floor. Currently, these have a inseam of 26 inches, but, and that's including, well, a finished, oh my goodness, my dog. That's a finished inseam of 26 inches, which actually I'm 25 inches to the, well, to my ankle bone. So 26 will put me right at like above my foot, but I wanted to keep it there because then I can always take up the hem a little bit if I wanted to. And sometimes I do. I like him to play with. I don't want my pants to be too short. I want them to hit right where I want them to hit. So long story short, I want my pants to be a 30-inch inseam. We'll take it all the way to the floor, which is what I'm wanting. And that will also allows for not a heel, but a shoe that's not a flat shoe, you know, because most of my fall shoes have a little bit of a heel. And I am using heel very, just like a little stacked heel, you know, like even my tennis shoes. They are just a little taller than, say, a flip-flop. Anyway, I'm going to be adding 4 inches to the hem of my pants. So what I want to do first is I want to mark a length 4 inches because I want it to be 40 inches. I mean, 30. Good gracious. And it's currently 26 finished. So this will also include my hem allowance because the hem allowance is already on these pants. So I'm just going 4 inches from the hem, making a line. Am I still in frame? I think I am. And now I'm just going to do, well, let's do this first. We're going to mark the center of our pant first. Now I've got my grain line here. It's not in the center of the pant, but I'm just going to measure it. Right now, my hem here is 6 5/8. So half of that is going to be 3 3/8. Nope, that's not right. It's going to be 3. Oh my gosh, Gidget. Get it together. 3 7/8 is what that would be. Right? 3 3.5. Nope, that's not right. 3. Hold on, bear with me. Half of 6 is 3, and half of 5/8 is 2 1/2. 2/8 is a quarter, so it's roughly 2 1/4. A little. It's like 2 3/16 technically, or 3 3/16. God, that got confusing. Alternatively, you can just fold your pant pattern in half and come up with the midway that way. It's like right there. That got really confusing. I apologize. Okay, so I'm going to make a line parallel to my grain line that's right at that middle point, and I'm just going way far down. Now I have my line that's 4 inches down, so I'm just going to go perpendicular to that line I just drew and just go across the whole paper. Just, I mean, this is just our end point. Okay. All right. Whew. That was confusing. Okay. The next thing we want to decide is how much wider do we want our hips? Or do we want our hips? Good gracious. Do we want our leg? And what I'm going to do to figure out what I want is I want this to hang like pretty straight from my hip. So I'm actually, this is just my yardstick that I'm throwing in here. I'm going from this top hip notch here, and it follows straight for just a little bit. So I'm following along that line and then just going straight from that. And I'm just going to make a line. Okay. So now that I've got that line, lots of rulers here. I'm going to measure how much I've added here. I have added, use the right side of the ruler, I have added 2 3/4 to that side. So now I want to also add 2 3/4 to this side. Would you put me right there? So now this is a little different than the other side because we still want a little inside here. So I'm going to take this up. Actually, I'm going to use my other ruler because I can see the grid. Parallel to, I'm going to keep this parallel until like my knee notch, which is this notch right here, around there. And then, now the reason you still want some curve up here in this inner thigh is you don't want too much fabric between your legs. That's not a good look. And it just gets very bunchy. So I'm just using my hip curve and just whoop, there to what was already there. Okay. Now I don't need to do any truing down here because this is a very straight squared off hem. So that literally can just get folded up 1 inch for the hem and we should be good to go. So hopefully you can see how we have now taken that into a wide leg pant. Now let's remember we have added 2 3/4 on each side of the front. Now it won't necessarily be the same from the back because our back is a wider, you have more width in the back of your body than you do in the front. So I'm just going to move this. Let me move this and I'll come back with the back. Okay, now we have our back. So as you can see, the back is wider than the front. So the front hem was 6 5/8. And the back hem right now is 9 inches. Well, that's an easy one to divide. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark that center right at 4.5, which is just over just a little bit from our grain line. And I'm just going to take that down. I'm just going to go down all the way. I'm trying to make this perpendicular to my grain line here. There we go. And I'm just going to go all the way to the bottom of the pants or the paper. Okay, so I've drawn my center of my leg line, which is here at 4.5 inches. And now I'm going to measure down 4 inches on that. Okay, it's there. Oh, these pens. I need new pens so badly. Why don't I just buy them? I could do that. Okay, now I'm just making a line across the whole bottom. Like so. Okay, so just like with the front, I am going to go from my hip, getting the big one, and I want to go straight down from that hip notch so it stays straight for a little bit. Sorry, I just want to make sure that this is coming as straight off this as possible. Go all the way down to this new hem. Oops. Well, I moved it. That's not good. Okay. And that is adding only 1 3/4 inches to that side. So I'm just going to need to do, right, 1 3/4 inches? 1 3/4. Yep. So 1 3/4 inches over here. So now we can do a line perpendicular to our hem. And then right there at that knee notch, actually, this is going to be even easier than the front. I'm just going to blend it in up to that just a little bit above there. Okay, whoops. Another thing I forgot to mention is that you want to make sure and transfer notches like to the outside. Forgot to mention that. And I forgot to mention you need to make sure that your leg is stayed balanced. So we want to measure from the center line, which is the reason for the center line. I forgot to mention that on the front. So we are 6 inches and, oh, we are more than 6 inches. So see, I got off a little bit there. 6 inches. 6 inches. We want to keep that balanced. So just going to redraw that in. Okay. So if you need to do any truing like that, now is the time to do that. And there we go. We've got wide leg pants that'll go all the way to the floor on me. As always, if you have any questions, please leave those down below. Next, you can take your front and lay it on top, although it should true pretty easily because we're very boxy down here in the bottom. But you can definitely lay your front over your back and just make sure that your side seam and your inseam both match. Your back should actually, the back inseam measurement should be just a little bit shorter than the front because you're supposed to stretch the back inseam to meet the front just a little bit to get a good cupping at the rear end. The stretching is supposed to happen in this area right up here when you're sewing. Easing, I guess. Easing the front into the back. But just, like literally like 1/4 of an inch. It's not much. So there you go. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will be sure to answer those as soon as possible. Thank you. I also wanted to say real quick, sorry, I shouldn't have ended this quite yet. I also wanted to say that if you have a pair of these pants already made up and you know the width that you would like added to the bottom, instead of starting at the hip and drawing down and making that determining the width of your leg, you could also just draw your center point leg and just know, okay, I know I want, it's 4.5 inches on each side. I know I want an extra 2 inches on each side of the pant. You can do that as well. So you could add 2 inches and then true it up to the top of the pant if that's what you're wanting. So hopefully that makes sense. You just want to make sure that you're adding it equally on both sides so that your center line stays your center line. That's kind of the main thing, the biggest thing. Okay, now I am finished. If you have any questions, you can leave them down below. I'll answer those as soon as I can. All right, thank you.